Hello, I'm Rick Freed. We're at the Liverpool launch ramp alongside the Peace River, actually on a side tributary called Hunter Creek. And it's a nice wild area, good place to see gators and birds, and has a good launch ramp place for both boats and for our kayaks. This is actually in Charlotte County, DeSoto County border, where the Peace River flows out of DeSoto County into Charlotte County, into the main harbor, which is Charlotte Harbor, and then out to the Gulf, of course, in South Florida. I joined the Sierra Club for a second time because this was a way for me to use my Florida Master Naturalist certification. In retirement, I had canoed a lot of this area and got to know some of the dead ends and side channels, and always had a love of nature. Became a Florida Master Naturalist credited and a Sierra Club outings leader, and it seemed a natural way to spend my retirement time showing other people what I loved out here. This part of the Peace River is quite different from upstream, where people find fossils and what have you, and is one single river with high banks. Here there are a lot of side channels and twists and turns. It widens. There are a lot of ways you could get lost once you get off the river into side channels, but that alone makes it a very interesting kayaking place. On this paddle, after we pass the old turn-of-the-century pier that's covered in jungle now, we paddle a short distance down to a rookery island. It's ideal for the birds because it keeps the raccoons away from stealing the eggs and what have you, and it is loaded with nesting birds, bringing in more nest material and raising young, primarily wood storks, ibises, roseate spoonbills, all sorts of the wading birds are on this, and once they are at the rookery, they don't seem to care about anybody getting close, and you can get some great pictures there. A lot of the people who come out with us on kayaks are the snowbirds, who are just winter visitors and leave in the summer. It is important to the county as a tourist destination, between the beaches and the fact that we do have this wonderful nature area. This is not a race to see who can get to lunch first. We're out here to enjoy the beauty that nature has given us. It's a leisurely paddle. We stop and take pictures. Those who want to know what this tree is or what that bird is, they can find out and take the time. It is supposed to be a relaxing day, and we discourage any very strong paddling to try and get ahead of the group. When we're out there, there's been an increasing amount of airboats, which are extremely noisy. We've had a couple operators that always slow down for us and are very cognizant of what it does for disturbance or not. But lately there's been some newer ones that don't seem to care as long as they have enough passengers to show and tell. When you get into these side channels, it's quite easy to get lost. One of the reasons I got into this is because I had previously done all of that, and I knew which were the right channels after having made several mistakes of going a long way and then trying to find my way back. The nice thing about this area is there is a great little restaurant that has a lot of the local flavor, and it works out that we get there just about lunchtime. So after 3 hours of leisurely paddling most of the time, we can go to the Nav-a-gator restaurant, sitting around on the outdoor tables, and socialize, get to learn who's from where and what our interests are, get a good rest before we head back. And generally I have a shortcut idea as to how to get back, so our return trip is shorter and also more direct, and we don't spend another 3 hours paddling. The Nav-a-gator is a great place because the outdoor tables seat about 8, and everybody can get to know each other well. They have common interests with the kayaking, so there's a lot to talk about, hometown areas that they may have in common, and people they know. A lot of camaraderie and a lot of friendship happens at this lunch stop. When we are paddling, particularly on the main river and the wider channels, we pass places where some boats have taken refuge. Earlier in Hurricane Charlie and more recently in Hurricane Irma. And while they did seem well protected, evidently it wasn't enough, because we will paddle by several wrecks that have been pretty well destroyed and are up on the beaches. On these paddles, quite often participants are repeats. These are people who have been with me for years, back when I had no trouble lifting a deep cycle battery, that now help me lift the deep cycle battery to put in my canoe at 88 years old. But these are people that have actually taken the courses to become Florida Master Naturalists as a result of enjoying this area and seeing it, and also wanting to share their knowledge with others. The Sierra Club here is very active in running tours of hikes and paddles in a number of different areas. Our itineraries include going from the Intercoastal Waterway out to some pretty quiet beaches, to going further upriver, where there are quite a bit of fossil finds. All of our local Sierra Club ones are free, and the contributions support what we do locally. It's not a very politically oriented club. We're more oriented to the outdoors, but we do work with local issues. The local Sierra Club does take donations, and most of the paddlers are quite happy to throw a few dollars into an envelope to help us do these things and support this sort of free enterprise. I personally just specialize in 2 or 3, Shell Creek and the Peace River area here. And there are goodbyes and I'll see yous and what have you. So it's a nice end of the way to end the day and the paddle.